Welcome to Behind the Dub, the podcast series talking to voice actors about their experiences in the industry, as well as the shows they work on. Just before we start, I'd like to ask that if you like what you hear, please consider liking, subscribing, following, or commenting. This all means a lot to me, and it can help make more episodes happen in the future. Today, I get to talk to the lovely George Peter. Welcome, George. Thank you very much for spending your time today, this evening, or this afternoon, or whatever it is in the time zone, to just chat with me in general. If it's okay with yourself, could you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is George Peter. I'm a professional voice actor, but you probably already knew that much based off of the title of the video. I have done everything from commercial work to character work and basically everything in between for this business. I've been doing it total for about 10 years now. I started when I was 13 years old. And I started off with like a lot of amateur stuff online, and bridges and fan dubs and stuff like that. And about 5-6 years ago at this point is when I went to go start doing this professionally. I started off in commercial work, living in the lovely town of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And recently, about a year ago at this point, I moved down to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas to really pursue character stuff. And now that I'm here, I've gotten the lovely chance to work in the anime and video game field. And I have worked on some really cool projects. You can catch me lately in a show called Dragon Goes House Hunting, which I think you are very familiar with, Kraken.
I am. Yes.
I play the character of Steve. He's the lovely horse guy that has a six-pack, and he's very, very appealing to look at.
You expect me to sneak past them under a giant box?
You should be all right. We put this brick wallpaper on one side of it, so you're gonna blend right in.
But why only on one side?
Come on, man. Every stealth mission needs a cardboard box. If you covered the whole thing, it would ruin the vibe.
Huh?
And I got to play with my lower register, and it's always fun. You can call me Steve. Just Steve. And this is, everybody else. So I got to play Steve. I've also been into projects like Genshin Impact, Smite, which I believe were two projects that you noted a lot of people have been getting into lately.
Yeah. As I said, it's either Smite or Genshin or both. It tends to be those two.
Yeah. No, it's like Pokemon with those guys. You got to catch them all. And then my very first anime that I actually got to be a part of was a show called To Loveru. Which is an ecchi show, so maybe not everybody has seen it, but for people who are into those types of shows, it's one of the holy grails. And I got to play a little character called Trace Neo, which by all accounts is the most anime character I think I've played. It's a mechanical dog that sniffs out panties. Because anime. So I'm still relatively new to the character stuff. Don't really have too much under my belt, but that's me for the most part. Of course, I have some stuff that I can't quite talk about yet, but I'm sure everybody will know whenever I can. So
No, that's really cool because as I talked with Eli Farmer last time, I was really surprised to sort of hear that you get so much commercial work. It's incredible. You get so much work, and apparently it's far better paid than anime stuff as well.
Yeah.
And that's something I never quite knew. I always thought that, they must get paid quite a decent amount. No, apparently commercial work is where the money's at. It's
yes. I will say that without naming any specific numbers for obvious reasons, I have been paid more off of a single commercial than I have off of everything character work I've done combined.
Wow.
So yeah, they have quite a few zeros attached to them. Compared to doing character stuff, and it just really goes to show that people who are into the character stuff, if they're really there and they're really committing their time for it, they're not in it for the money. They're doing it because they want to put out an amazing product, and hopefully everybody else will enjoy it as well. So yeah.
Which particular brands have you done commercials for so far? Of what? If you can remember.
So most of the stuff that I did was more kind of local and regional stuff. Not really too many things people have heard of. Like I do mom and pop shops, or the car dealership on the corner or whatever. But a couple of commercials that I've been able to work with is of the main one that I'm aware of that people have heard at least. Is I worked with Starbucks to do a commercial for them. It was at one point it was for one of their new roasts at the time, like one of their new blends.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it was in their in-store radio. So if you ever go into a Starbucks, you'll
Oh,
hear that they're
right.
constantly like they're playing
Mm.
music and stuff like that. And it was one of the commercials that they would play on in their um, uh, uh, in-store radio station. And yeah, so I got to work with that. And the main reason why I knew that, a funny story, is I had a friend who knew that I was a voice actor, but didn't really like know what I had done, which
Right,
was
yeah.
fine.
Mm.
And but I had found out they had found out because they had gone to my website and they saw, and they were like, "Wait, you did a commercial for Starbucks?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'll save the expletives, but they got very angry at me. Not in a bad way, but they had been a barista for a very long time, and they had heard my commercial,
Oh,
because they
no.
would work like, 8-hour shifts or whatever, and they'd hear my commercial on repeat, and they didn't know it was me. And so that was the funniest thing, and that was the point where I realized, wow, people actually hear these things. I don't just record into a microphone and walk out the door with a check in my hand. So yeah, that was kind of my aha moment. But yeah,
Oh,
I've worked
wow.
with some companies like Toyota, Starbucks, Energizer.
When you want the world's longest lasting AA battery in high tech devices, look for Energizer Ultimate Lithium. That's positive energy.
Stuff like that, for commercials like that. But you know, um, it was a fun time.
Have you ever? I was going to say, have you ever heard yourself when you've been out and about, or you've been watching TV or whatever? You haven't had that yet.
Um, I did have it a few times for like the local commercials. Whenever
Yeah.
I'm in a car ride and cranking the radio or whatever, the adverts in between, I would hear myself for a couple of those, and it was weird at first, but it's one of those things. It's like once you start doing it enough, it just becomes like normal to you.
Comes normal. Yeah.
Um, Probably as much as it would be for an artist to hear their song on the radio the first couple of times, and after that, it's like, "Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's get on with it."
Because I had one experience of this because basically many years ago
Mhm.
I got a job. I was a sales
Mhm.
assistant in this little bookshop, and it
Yeah.
was in a shopping mall. And
Mhm.
basically, when I come in, they were kind of struggling on numbers, and the shopping centre they have like a food court with a big screen where they played adverts, obviously their own in-house
Mhm.
adverts. And so at the time I came in, it's like, oh, we need someone to do an advert with the
Mm.
team. And I was doing performing arts at the time, I was in college, and so it's like, well, you can do it. You've got performing arts experience, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And my sister, who worked at the same shop, she said, "You only got it because no one else wanted to do it." So did this thing, and I'm
Ouch.
going around, and it's like, oh, we've got travel guides and this, that, and the other, da, 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 da. And then
Mm.
a few weeks later, it started airing in the food court, and I remember I was sat in the food court eating KFC, and it comes on, and it's like there's me on this huge screen, and there's people going, wait, that's you. It's like, yeah, that's me. Or people will
Yeah.
come into the shop and go, wait, I saw you on the big screen. It's like, yeah, no, that was me. I had the DVD of that somewhere. I need to find it because it's brilliant. I'm so proud of it. But yeah, it was really weird because it's like, I walk through the food court and there's me on the screen. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of I'm probably a little bit too into myself sometimes. So whenever I see that, whenever I have those moments, I don't get embarrassed. I get proud. I'm like, yeah, this me. I'm hot shiz. Like you get a little pep in your step. But yeah, no, that's I totally get it, and it's always. I think it's a weird combination of I know where you're coming from. It's like a weird combination of like embarrassing, but also like pride.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I was
Like
happy.
cool factor, like it's
Mhm.
like, oh my god, it's me. But yeah, it's something that whenever it happens enough, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
But it's still I think the buzz will never go away
yeah.
for sure. Like whenever I hear myself in like Smite or something, I'm just like, yeah, you get a little like, just little like butterflies in your stomach. It's always great.
Because it's a mix between "oh God, that's me" and "that's me."
Yeah.
And so you've mentioned that you were in Smite and Genshin Impact. Now, I haven't got
Yes.
to where you are in Genshin Impact. That's the only one I've played.
Yes. Hmm.
How strange is it to hear yourself in a video game, especially as a playable
Um.
character? Or I believe it was an announcer. That's it. You're an announcer for Smite. Was it an announce pack, a voice
Yeah,
pack?
so for Smite, I'm both a character skin and an announcer. So they go together. Basically, whenever you pick up the skin in the store for Smite, you also get the announcer pack to go with it. So I'm doing all the announcing in my character. So it's super cool. But I think with Smite, it's a little bit more like not that Genshin was like, you know, anything to push over. It was great, but I think with Smite specifically, it's cooler because I can actually play that character.
Yeah.
Whereas with Genshin, they were just, NPCs. I wasn't able to play as them. With Smite, it's super cool because I get to play as that character, and I actually started playing Smite because of that. I got the role, I recorded it, and then a couple weeks later, whenever it got launched on the public test server, I was able to download that and play as it, and I'm like, wow, this game's actually pretty neat because I had played other MOBAs before that. And I'm like, this game is pretty neat. Let me play it. And at first, I had gotten into it. I wanted to pick it up just so for the sole purpose of wanting to, whenever the skin dropped, wanting to play some games with people to kind of like, hang out with some of the fans of Smite and
Yeah.
kind of at least know what I'm doing and not be completely clueless. And, just make a couple of streamers days, or make a couple of people who play Smite day by getting to hang out with one of the new voice actors of the game, and just spend some time with people. But that was the reason why I got into it, and and it actually hooked me, and now I actually play Smite. I wouldn't say I get on every day, but I can get on with plenty of friends, and we can kick it on the battleground, and it's pretty fun, and that's my main MOBA of choice now. So but to get back to kind of the core of your question, does it feel weird? No, I think for me, I've always been in the position where it's cool. Like
It's
it's
just cool,
super
yeah.
cool. Yeah, and so uh I think that maybe if I land in in an even bigger role, where it's something that like was one of my inspirations, like for example, if I were to end up in like a Final Fantasy game, I would probably be like yeah, it would be nervous, probably
I
not
think
weird,
I
but
would be
just
too.
nervous
Yeah.
because like I don't want to disappoint anybody. Hopefully I can stand up to expectations, but no, it's honestly super super amazing to hear myself, because whenever you're recording for this stuff, you never get to hear the final product. You do your job, you go and you record, you send them the files if they need you to send them the actual audio files. Sometimes they'll record it on their end. But you never get to hear the final product. You never get to hear how it is in the mix. You never get to hear what they do for editing. You never half the time, I won't say never, but like half the time you don't even get to see what you're recording for. Uh,
Oh
Especially
wow,
for video
that must be
games,
weird.
you don't get to really see the characters. You don't really get to see what they're playing out as. Like for example, whenever I recorded Genshin Impact,
Hmm.
they literally had just sent me a an Excel spreadsheet. No images of the
Oh.
characters, no context or anything. It was just an Excel spreadsheet. They sent it to me. They said, "All right, go." With Smite, it was a little bit better because I had gotten a picture of the character, at least what it was in development. I think it was still pretty accurate to what ended up in the final product. But I got to see kind of what he looked like and his vibe and things like that. But sometimes you don't even get that. And so, yeah, that's the coolest part is getting. It's probably not even my voice specifically that gets me giddy. It's just more the idea of you get to see the final product, you get to see how it interacts with everybody else, and you get to see how, you get to see all the missing pieces that you didn't have. So it's just an overall amazing experience, I would
Because I was
say.
going to
Sorry, that was
say
a
it
bit of a
must be
long-winded
no,
answer.
no, no. It's fine. This is the sort of stuff I love hearing. I love hearing all this sort of stuff because sometimes this is the stuff you don't hear. You just think, oh, voice acting's great. You make
Yeah.
silly voices into a microphone and you're fine. You don't hear about the ins and outs. You don't hear as, oh, I only got an Excel spreadsheet. Everyone thinks you got a proper full script, and
Yeah.
because I'm guessing on some audition sheets you must have pictures of the characters. So you can at least get a feel
Yeah.
for the character.
Mm-hmm.
But I just here's an Excel spreadsheet. You wouldn't think that when you think of recording, you think of proper bound script books and all that. But I'm
Yeah.
guessing that only happens on the really big productions.
Yeah.
So you've done so Dragon Ghost House Hunting was your second anime role then.
It was my first main character, like well, supporting character, main character, whatever you want to call it. There's a term in the industry called bits, walla and bits. So walla means with all actors. It's essentially like for example, if maybe your characters are in a cafeteria or maybe outdoors walking about, walla is all that background chatter that you hear that is kind of like,
It's like crowd noise
like
and bits and
crowd noise, like you can't you can't really make up what they're saying, just general ambience. So that's kind of what walla is, and then the other term is bits, where basically there are these characters that aren't really named, but they're just like guy A or soldier B or whatever. And that was actually what it was for the most part with two Loveru. They had told me the character name for Trace Neo, and so I knew his name, but I don't think I was technically like in the main cast credits, because it was just it was a super small part. I think he was in there for like half an episode, so and I did some other voices on that show too. Like I did some like bullies, I did like some random like one or two liner background characters and stuff like that. So it wasn't, I didn't really have as big of a part of the show as I did for Dragon Ghost House Hunting, where I was essentially one of the main characters of the show. So
I was going to say
that was my first
so
like
that was your first
character.
major character.
Yeah.
Because Steve is pretty much one of the, you could say, the principal characters throughout the whole of that episode 7. And it's just really, I really do like it. It's just this big buff horse, Steve. Not a complicated name, Steve.
Steve. It was very much like it gave me a feeling of like Bond, James Bond. Like except just Steve. And it was funny. Steve. That scene, that's exactly what I thought of. I didn't bring it up during the session, but like he has that moment where he's just like, and you can call me Steve. Just Steve. I felt like I was like James Bond for a second. I was like, and you can call me Bond. James Bond. Like it was great.
Because it just amused me because in Dragon there's you got like Hraesvelgr and Jormungandr and Diaria. Even Diaria is quite a strange name.
Davy Jones,
They got Davy Jones, and then it's like Steve and Daniel. It's like, oh, okay, did you just run out of names or not? But it's even Steve in the manga. It's not like they did it for the anime. It's just Steve.
And, no, it was funny. So I was I in reference to that, whenever I had gotten the role, a buddy of mine, or an acquaintance of mine, his name is Ben Diskin. He does a lot of stuff in especially in the furry community. Because I know I know you are very much a part of that community. And he does a lot of roles. Like he's in a Gretzko, he's in BNAs and P-Stars. He's in a bunch of those shows. I had whenever I got that role, I had DM'd him on Twitter, and I was like, we could be furry buddies together. I'm this Steve guy, and he sent me back. He laughed. He's like, Steve, nice. And I'm like, yep, just Steve. And he's like, dude, you're a horse with a six-pack. You got me beat. I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh well, I don't know. He might have some competition with is it Shiro in BNA? Also,
Mm.
Ben recently got was it Skeletor in the new He-Man
Yeah, he
series. He's
got
like
yeah.
Skeletor, what?
Yeah, he got Skeletor. I had definitely
Oh,
had to congratulate him on that one. Yeah, that
that,
was that
that
was nuts.
that was just amazing. Is there anything coming up that you can talk about, or is it all you can't say a thing right now?
There's unfortunately nothing that I got going on that I can talk about. I hopefully will have an announcement soon. But I can't say for what, unfortunately. But I, keep an eye posted on my Twitter account. Hopefully, within the coming weeks, I should have something cool to talk about.
And one of the things with the ongoing situation, as I like to call it,
Yeah,
everyone's having to work from home, and one of
yeah,
the sort of running themes, which I find really fascinating, is that everyone's setting up stuff in their closets. So,
yeah.
what
So
is your
I
setup then?
yeah. Let me I'll actually do this just to show you. I'll get rid of the veil. So this is actually my home studio that I'm recording in to kind of give you reference. So this is my walk-in closet in my apartment. I had converted my walk-in closet into a home studio. So these are all acoustic blankets. I have some shelves over there that I have some pillows stuffed in to just kind of prevent too much bass from building up in there. I got some pillows up there, some bass traps, got some acoustic paneling and stuff like that all over here, and then of course I got my lovely microphone here. And normally I have a pop filter hooked up whenever I record, but for this case I don't, just because I like being able to see my screen fully. Um, but I've converted my home studio into or my walk-in closet into my home studio and my office. So this is where I do everything. Luckily, my apartment had a pretty big walk-in closet, so it's not too terrible. But this is where I record from. This is what I do everything from. I think the only thing that I went in studio for over the past year to record for was To Love Ru. I did go in studio to record that, but Genshin Impact I recorded from this exact microphone, this exact setup. I did Smite on this. I did Dragon Ghost House Hunting on this. I did a couple of other things on this setup. And so this is it. And it just goes to show that you can do high quality projects just from your home, I think the only thing that's really like super expensive about this entire setup is the microphone itself.
Yes, yeah.
Which I went overboard. You don't have to have this microphone. I was able to get this microphone because I invested into myself from a lot of my previous projects that I had done and saved up the money. I have a microphone called the Neumann U87. It's like top of the line, best in the business or whatever. But
Okay.
you don't even have to have this. I know plenty of people who literally use like Rode NT1As, which are like $150 to $200 microphones, depending on where
It's
you
my
get them.
microphone.
Yeah, you can use that. You can use I know Funimation, they were literally sending out kits to their actors
Oh wow.
where that consisted of a Apogee it was either the Apogee Hype Mic or the Apogee Mic Plus, which is literally a USB mic and an iPad. And they would send that out and they said, "Hey, just stuff some blankets in your closet and we'll work out the rest." So, not all actors have, you know, super awesome home studios. Some actors have even better home studios than I. They have like the nice whisper rooms and the studio bricks and all that stuff. I just have my closet, but you really don't need much to have a quality home studio. And I'll also say too, for anybody out there who might be watching this who is interested in getting into voice acting, you don't need all this fancy stuff to start. You
No.
don't need the nice microphone or the nice equipment. I would say the most important thing would be just have a good space to record. You could literally start off with, I you can start off with a little $50 blue snowball if you wanted to. Just have a good space to record and
Yeah, the blue
go
mics are
at
pretty
it.
nice from what I've
Yeah.
heard. I had a little USB condenser mic for ages. It was a
Yeah.
Samsung. So I have a Rode NT one now with a with an AI one interface, and that's done me
Mm-hmm.
pretty well. And that's
Yeah.
about what 250 something now.
Yeah.
Prices vary, and it's not too bad to get a half decent setup. And
Yeah.
but I just find it so funny because I've seen like Jonah Scott. He'll literally just go into his wardrobe with the clothes still hanging there and record. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It just cracks me up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in the closet. What, are you going to come out of it
Yeah.
anytime soon, or are you with Mr. Tumnus?
Oh, I came out of the closet a little while ago, and it was great.
It's great, isn't it? It's wonderful. Actually, just on showing you things. Now, don't get too worried. My wonderful husband has been trying out his art skills, and he's drawn you some fan art. So I'm going
he
to
has?
I'm going to send it you.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my god.
I'll have it on screen for now, but yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my god, tell him I said thank you. Give him the biggest smooches for me.
I
Oh
certainly
my
will. But yeah,
god,
see,
that's
he's drawn
amazing.
that for you.
Okay, do I have permission to use that as my new Twitter banner art?
1 second, I can ask him right now, honey. He's asking permission if he can use it as his Twitter banner art. He says, of course.
Yes.
More able to.
This is my new Twitter banner art. Absolutely. This is amazing. This is great. I love it.
If you can't tell, honey, he loves it. But, yeah, he drew that for you.
That's amazing. Yeah, I honestly, I just absolutely love that people are such a fan of this stuff, and it's great because I'm a fan too, and so being able to be a part of the stuff that I'm also a fan of is just like it's absolutely ecstatic, and so like it's still a little bit surreal that people would even be able to think to be a fan of the stuff that I've done. So it's just like, whoa, like that's probably going back to the weird thing. That's probably the weirdest part when people say like, oh my god, I'm a fan of Steve, or oh my god, I'm a fan of Naja from Smite. I'm just like, huh? Like, yeah. Like it
I
just
will say that this is the honest truth. Steve's my favorite character out of that episode. He's
oh my God, thank
really
you.
so good.
Oh my god, thank you. Yeah, no, I remember when I had gotten the sides for house hunting. So I think Eli talked about this. They were sent out in two batches. So there was the first batch which had basically all the main characters. There was Diaria, there was Letty, there was Eric, the swordsman, the hero. There was oh my god, what the I forget the other guy's name. The dude with like the green cloak on.
Eric. No, that's the hero. Huey.
Huey, yeah, there was all these characters and stuff, and so I had auditioned for all of them, and though I didn't think I was going to get it, I would think the one that was probably most in my range, like most of my, actors talk about this thing, the wheelhouse, like what they're,
Yeah, I get
what
it.
they're best at. I thought of all those characters, Letty was gonna be my character because most of the characters I
Oh,
play
yeah.
are kind of young and hip sounding, and they have that youthful, energetic voice to them, and like yeah, anime protagonist, and stuff like that, and that's typically the type of characters that I play. Not necessarily that, like, I don't I see the first word that popped in my head was that scrawny sounding, but that, like, that energetic sounding, they kinda have that,
The very shonen protagonist, yes.
yeah, the very
You're right.
shonen protagonisty, I had at that point I had just gone off of recording for Smite, and so in my head it was like you know uh some of his lines, which was like this place could use a bit more flair. Tagged him and bagged him, stuff like that. And so that was the character that I thought, if anything, off of the show that I was gonna book for. But so those had gone out. I had recorded for them, or I had auditioned for them, and send it and forget it. That's kind of the whole thing. You don't want to get too attached because if you don't get it, it's gonna suck. And I had found out, or I had gotten the second batch a couple weeks later, and
Okay.
I forget how you say his name, Amon or something like that, the owl guy. It
Oh,
had
I forget. Yeah.
it had it had Steve on there. It had
Varney.
oh, what's the wizard's name, or the spellcaster guy, the little one with the glasses and the blonde hair.
Oh,
I
crikey!
forgot his name.
It was only a few lines. I think he only mentions himself like once. It's something like Tony or something. I can't remember now.
I don't remember his name. It was the character that Ryan McKeon got.
Yeah.
Um, and a couple of others. And I thought, again, that character that Ryan McKeon got. Okay, if I auditioned, that would probably be the character. There was the announcer in episode 7 was on there as well. And I thought one of the last people I was gonna get was gonna be Steve. And I just thought I'd audition for it anyways. I love if I ever got to use, my lower register and got to sound a little bit more cool and laid back. If I ever got to record for a character like that, uh, it would be fun. So, um, so I thought I'll put it out into the void. Um, and I was able to nail that. But the funniest part is before I had heard back about booking on Dragon Ghost House Hunting, the first episode had come out, and a buddy of mine, Stephen Kelly, got to announce that he was the Arya. And I was like, dude, oh my god. I had messaged him. I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. And I literally had told him, dude, you're an inspiration. You're killing it in anime right now, and you got to be the main character of an anime recording from Scotland. And
Yeah,
that
that's
was an
really cool.
inspiration for me because I love this business with all of my being. Um, and I just want it to become better. I want anybody to have their shot. I want anybody to be able to record and be able to do this for their career. I want I don't want any obstacles to be in the way. I don't want, any location, any agencies. I don't want nepotism. None. I don't want any of that stuff to be in the way of anybody, getting their fair shot. And whenever I heard that he had gotten that, I'm like, dude, that's amazing. And I literally messaged him, and I said, you lit a fire under me today, because I wanna go out, and I wanna, pardon my French, I wanna go out and kick ass, because of you. Um, and then, like, a week later, I found out I got Steve,
You got
and
Steve.
yeah, and I wanted to tell him so bad, NDAs and everything.
Oh.
I wanted to tell him so bad, and I'm like, and I basically just messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, dude, just want to say, you're that fire you lit under me. Hey, it worked."
Oh, that's
And then
wonderful.
whenever I was, whenever I had recorded for it and everything, and it came out, I told him, and I'm like, dude, the fact that we're on the show together, it's amazing. And so it was great. Uh,
You do share a scene briefly as well, just sort of near the end. Is he a friend of yours? Not
yeah,
quite.
and yeah, I got to hear him, and I got to interact with him, and I'm like, oh, he's so great. He's so good at his job.
That's one thing that I've learned about Dragon, which really gives me respect for the show,
Hmm.
is that they've got people from just everywhere. It's not like it's just the
Yeah,
LA lot or the
yeah,
East Coast lot. They've got people from everywhere, which is really really cool.
yeah,
And I've noticed that there's a lot more sort of variation and variety in the voices that you're hearing on all these different animes now, which is, I just think it's just fantastic. And the choice
yeah,
as well. The choice of anime out there is just incredible, because back in the day when I started, we used to watch anime, because I'm an old man. I'm a very old man. The choice of anime back in the 90s was not great. It was either stuff that
yeah,
you shouldn't be watching at a young age, or it was stuff like maybe Pokemon or Digimon, and
yeah,
or Yu-Gi-Oh slightly later on. And But now these days it's like you can have a show like Dragon Goes House Hunting or Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle, which is another one of my favorite
Yeah.
shows. I watched one recently called Moriarty the Patriot, which I thought was fantastic, and I'm like, I would
Yeah.
never have discovered this
I think
if it
did they
weren't
just announce
for.
a dub for that too.
Season 1 got dubbed. I really hope that they do part 2 because it's like, I need more. I need more. It's so good. The cast in it's fantastic. I'm hoping you say, "Oh, I'm going to be this part in it because it'd be fantastic." I could really hear you as one or two of the characters in part 2 because I haven't watched it even in Japanese. Because sometimes if it's like with Dragon, I watched it in Japanese because I thought this
Yeah.
is not going to get a dub. I like it, but this is not gonna get a dub. And then my husband
Yeah.
went, "It's got a dub." What? When did
Yeah.
that happen? But then rabbit hole and off we go. So I watched it all Japanese. Now I watch it in English. But stuff like Moriarty the Patriot, I've only watched it in English. So yes, I know the other half is there. Part 2 is there, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait for the dub. Nothing against subs. If there's no dub, I'll watch it sub happily. But you've probably heard me say this in my other videos. I do think English dubs get a very bad rep, and they don't deserve it. They really don't deserve
Yeah.
it, especially today, in
Yeah.
this era. Look, English dubs are so lazy. No, they're not. They work harder than the Japanese ones sometimes.
Yeah,
well,
and I'll say this: I don't want to stir up the battle, the war that is going on there. But I will say that if 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 you do prefer subs, great, more
Yeah.
power to you. Support the official release, do what you do. But a lot of people, um, I would just hope that a lot of people at least educate themselves on how dubs are produced, and have a full-on opinion, have an educated opinion on why they prefer subs, and go out and learn how dubs are created, the
Mm-hmm.
people that are behind dubs, how everything is created, how the Japanese is the original animation is created and everything, and go out and learn everything, and get yourself educated on how all that works. And then if you still want to say subs are better, great. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
change
by all
anybody's
means, yeah.
opinion. As long as you pay your Crunchyroll sub, as long as you pay your Funimation sub, I could care less.
And they're the same thing
But
now.
yeah,
They're all merging together. It's like, oh.
yeah. Oh God, I don't know what's happening with that. That's
Um,
way above my pay grade. But if as long as you educate yourself and know that it's not because the dub actors are bad, we are not bad. There's a lot of constraints that are put on us. And you'll notice too, a lot of the times, people, I have a lot of friends who are very much in the sub boat. Like a lot of my closest friends are very much like, dude, the dubs suck. Like we like you, but everybody else sucks. A lot of my friends are in that boat, and the main thing that I've noticed is just like they'll like games. They'll like video games. They'll love the English dubs for video games. But when it comes to anime specifically, they're like, oh, dude, subs are way better than dubs. And I've noticed too that it's because with dubs, there's a lot of constraints put on the actor. Um, it's almost like trying to box Muhammad Ali when you have 50-pound weights on each of your wrists. It's a very hard thing to do. And that's because when the animation is already done, not only do we have to and there's a lot of people involved. There's translators, there's adapters, there's all this stuff. um not only do we have to translate the Japanese of what was already said, we have to make it make sense, because you can't just do a 1-to-1 ratio with a lot of
oh, no,
Japanese.
no,
There's a
no.
lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of subtleties that just if you translate it directly don't make sense, like a lot of slang and this and that. Um, so not only do we have to translate it to make it make sense, then we have to put it in a roughly same amount of syllable count, and on top of that, we have to fit the exact opening and closing of the mouth, to make it make sense. Now we have to add all of our acting in that too. It's very technical acting. It's very, very technical acting. Whereas with video games, it's a lot more freeing. and by no means am I saying one is easier than the other. They both have their challenges. They both have their,
Oh yeah.
they both have their pros and cons. But with anime acting, it's very, very technical, very precise, and there's a lot of timing that goes into it. Whereas with video games, again, you just get sent an Excel spreadsheet and they say go. So you have a lot more freedom to do things, but sometimes when you have too much freedom, you can go crazy.
You can go
Like
crazy.
when sometimes you have to be reeled in, because you can start bouncing. You have nowhere to go. You can just start going crazy. But yeah, I think that as long as people who and kind of putting it all on a bow. As long as people educate themselves and know that the work that goes into creating an English dub, and if they still want to say subs are better, hey, mwah, chef's kiss to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Because there's
hey,
so many shows
we're
out there which I've
we're
been
doing the best we
watching.
can.
There's been so many shows out there I've been watching, and I've actually thought that the English dub was better. Now,
Hmm.
again, I mentioned Sleepy Princess. I think it's funnier in English because, especially, there's been a couple of moments where it's like they ad libbed that, they've added that in, and it's
Yeah,
worked, and it's so funny.
yeah.
And I can tell with because I asked this of Stephen and Michael. I said, "Oh, how
Hmm.
much of yourself have you been able to put into Letty and Diaria?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, I've been able to have some flexibility." And I said, "Oh, this isn't quite right working." And that's so you when you've got a good director, you get a good dub, and that's it's very
Yeah,
apparent. And
yeah.
because I mentioned stuff like Pokemon and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh and such, was there any particular shows when you were growing up that inspired you or you just really really liked?
Yeah, there was plenty. So, um, honestly, the biggest show whenever I was a kid, like I said before, was Yu-Gi-Oh. That was my show. I played the card game when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, that carried all the way into my teen years, where I had actually played the game competitively, and I would go like
Oh
tournaments
wow!
and regional and national tournaments and stuff. And so that was one of my favorite things as a kid was Yu-Gi-Oh, and that was before I even knew what anime was.
Oh okay.
So I thought all those, Saturday morning cartoons were just that's exactly what they were, cartoons. And not saying anime aren't cartoons, but Western cartoons. I didn't realize
Exactly.
that those came over from Japan and that was what anime was. So all that stuff like Pokemon, Digimon, Bakugan, Sailor Moon, all that stuff. I didn't realize that was anime. And so Yu-Gi-Oh was my biggest inspiration, and the guys that worked on that Dan Green, Eric Stewart, a lot of those guys are my biggest inspirations on wanting to do this as a business. And the whole thing for me as a kid, to get a little bit deep here for a moment, I promise I won't dwell on it too
It's all
long,
right.
is I didn't have the greatest upbringing when I was a kid. I didn't have the greatest household to live in, and I didn't have the greatest parents, the greatest, childhood and things like that. And so one of my biggest escapes when I was a kid was watching cartoons. My biggest things was Yu-Gi-Oh and Power Rangers. Those were my two really big things. And so having those kind of like a little escape routes, or being able to step away, and play a video game for like 2 hours or whatever, really kept me sane. It kept me able to pursue through all those, and persevere through all those trials and tribulations that I had growing up as a kid. And so a lot of shows gave me inspiration, like and a lot of video games too. So Yu-Gi-Oh was one of them. Literally, when I had my epiphany that I said I want to do this for the rest of my life, I was watching Initial D. So everybody that was in the cast of Initial D, I owe everything to, J. Michael Tatum, Todd Habercorn, Joel McDonald, um, all those guys, and things like, oh man, there's just so many. Full Metal Alchemist was a really big show for
Oh
mine. Yu
yeah.
Yu Hakusho, anything that anything that I was able to watch, anything that I was able to get away with, Code Geass. So a lot of these shows, man, there's too many to name. That's there.
Um,
It's a lot, but it's really the actors.
yeah.
It was the actors that I love too. Like I said, all the people that I named, Johnny Young Bosch, Troy Baker, because he was, back when
Oh
he was
yeah.
doing anime and stuff like that. He doesn't really do too much anymore now that he's,
He's doing
Mr. Big Number One.
10,001 video games now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Now that he's doing all that, but by no means am I saying that's the reason why. But
Well,
Troy Baker, David Wald was actually one of my inspirations. The fact that I got to work with him on this
oh,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's just. I think that's just incredible that you got to work with one of your inspirations. Because it's one thing meeting your
Yeah.
inspirations. Because, as we mentioned before, as I've met Eric Stewart,
Yeah.
and he's a down to earth guy. I do quite like him.
Yeah.
Did you have a similar thing with David Wald, or did you just get on like a house on fire?
We got on really well. We so I haven't told him that he was one of my inspirations, but honestly, one
Oh.
of my shows that I really loved was Fairy Tale, and he was Gajiel in that. And it's just one of those things. Like, one, I wanted to have a professional relationship with him. I didn't want to come off as like a
Of course, yeah.
fanboy, but also, I'm sure he hears that a lot. Like, I'm sure everybody loves Gajiel, and stuff like that. So I don't want to be one of those people. And I knew we were there to work, so I didn't really
It's
want
poker
to
face
go too
professional.
crazy. But yeah, but that being said, we did goof off like two little kids because he's very much a proud gay man, and I'm very much a lovely little queer boy.
Now wrong
So
with that in my book.
so the entire time when we're recording for this sexy 6-pack horseman, we were like two gay little school kids, having fun. Uh, and so like literally in between each take, we would just be like, "Oh my god, he's so adorable!" Like, "Oh my god, he's so cute here!" Like, yes. And so we just hit it off, and honestly, I don't even think that was specifically between me and him. I think he's just honestly a very laid back guy. He's very like easy to work with, and I could tell like everybody that I've heard that has worked with David, they all say he's a hoot. So I was so happy when I got the chance to work with him, because it was great. So
Definitely sounds like someone I'd
it
love
was
to talk
very
to.
it was interesting to work with an inspiration. I've always said, a lot of people ask me when they hear I do voice acting, like, what's your dream role? And for
Yep.
me, I don't really have a dream role. For me, it's my dream role is the opportunity to star alongside one of my inspirations in a show. Being a
That'd be
main
cool.
character, or even being a Robin to their Batman. Like being even if I were to be a prominent character in a show that they also starred in. So like if I was let's use My Hero Academia, right?
Mhm.
If I was like a Shoto Todoroki to a Deku, or if I was like a Gajiel to a Natsu, like something like
Yeah.
that. If I got to star alongside one of my inspirations, that would be it. So like that would be my life is complete. Everything is full circle. And so that it's very it's that's when I get embarrassed whenever I get to work with somebody that I'm inspired by, because I'm just like, "Ugh, I hope I'm good enough to your expectations. I hope I can live up to you, because I've put you on this big amazing throne of a pedestal in my head, and you're amazing." And
You mentioned Full Metal Alchemist. Are you a fan of Full Metal Alchemist?
yeah,
Yes.
I've watched the original as well as Brotherhood. Oh, that's
I,
amazing. Yes. Okay, which
yeah.
sin are you,
I haven't
if you had
decided,
to pick?
but
Mm,
oh, bloomin' heck, probably gluttony. If I had to say something myself.
I was gonna say
Okay.
lust, but hey.
Yeah, well, thank you. But
Hey.
it was sort of like Troy Baker and all that, playing Greed and that, and I saw that. I'm like, that's so cool. He's so cool. I
Yeah.
want that.
So funny story. I think Troy Baker plays one of the Greeds because there's multiple Greeds.
It's
In Full
Greed
Metal.
2 in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, so one of my and this is a big thing too. And this is where I get to be a little giddy is one of my best friends in this industry and somebody that I would consider a mentor at this point is a guy by the name of Chris Patton, and he's the original Greed. He's
Oh
Greed in
wow!
both the original show and in
And
Brotherhood.
oh wow!
Yeah, and he's one of my best friends. He's
Oh, that's
somebody that I can
amazing.
always come to um for anything. He honestly gave me the opportunities that I have today. He was able to get, he gave me a referral to one of the best agencies here in Texas. And he was the main reason why I was able to get, established so quickly here in Texas after moving and being able to kind of get the ball rolling with no hiccups. And that's how I was able to meet John Swayze, who
Oh,
works
John
over at
Swayze.
Sentai.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that's how I was able to get started there, which allowed me to start building a resume, which able to lead to this. And I would be nothing without Chris, and I thank him. I will thank him till the day I die. But he's absolutely amazing. He's one of my best friends. He's played or I'll say best voice acting friends at least. And he's in a lot of stuff. Most recently,
Yeah.
he was in Fire Emblem Three Houses as always forget the character's name. I think it's like Linhart or something like that.
I've got
I don't play Fire
behind
Emblem,
the
so I'm
voice
sorry to
effects
all the
up.
Fire Emblem fans out there.
Is it
Um,
on here?
he was also Kagero from Scarlet Nexus, which is now airing on Funimation as well as the game itself.
Linhart in Fire Emblem Three
Linhart, yeah,
Houses.
I knew it. I knew I was
I've got the list here
okay.
now.
And he's in a bunch of stuff. He's also Oikawa from Haikyuu. And he's in a bunch of stuff, and yeah, he's absolutely amazing. He needs more recognition and more work. And please,
He's
if you're
done
a
a
fan of
lot.
any of his characters, go check him out. I think he has a TikTok now. I know he has a what's that service called? Cameo.
Oh, I've heard of
And all
Cameo.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has all that stuff.
all the kids
So
are on TikTok. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm just looking here. He's in Scarlet Nexus. Haven't you
Mhm.
heard I'm Sakamoto, which is a really funny show as well.
Mhm.
And wow, I'm just looking. It's just roll after roll after roll after roll. I know that not every role is
Yeah.
major, but it's just like wow, he's done so much. That's cool.
Yeah, he's done so much, and I feel like he's an actor that honestly, not that anybody and not that any actor like necessarily needs it or wants it, but I feel like he's an actor that doesn't get as much recognition as I feel like he deserves. And I'm not saying that just because I'm his friend, and I'm not saying that just to back him up, but I just genuinely feel like he's an actor that deserves so much credit that a lot of his peers do, like getting invited to a bunch of conventions and like having people like, hit him up on Twitter or hit him up on all these places and saying like, "Oh my God, I'm a fan of yours. Can you sign my stuff?" Blah blah blah. And not that I'm saying he, is asking for it or anything like that, or he, I want people to go fangirl over him, but I just feel like I wish that he deserved more recognition because he's such a talented actor. And he's so good at what he does. But he's so low key about it that eh, it's one of those things that he's kind of hidden away in the shadows.
I
And
really want to contact him now. I know this show is just new and I'm little, but I really want to get his email now. I really want to email him and go look.
yeah,
I'm
I
going to
can't.
tell you. It's like George told me to contact you because we need to
I
talk.
I can't I can't make any promises, but I'll talk to my name doesn't really have too much pull at all, but I will try to hit up a couple of people that I know and see if I can get them on here because you seem pretty passionate about wanting to learn about dubs and the business itself and not just like, "Oh my God, who's your favorite character? What line did you like saying the most?" and stuff like that. And
Oh
and
no!
though those questions are great,
Mm.
I sometimes, it's always nice when people take an interest in the business itself
Yes,
and stuff like that. So I really
because
do appreciate that.
this is one of the things I wanted to do with the series, because the interview with Michael and Stephen came about because I was a
Hmm.
fan, and it just was a happy
Hmm.
consequence. And then I kind of learned when I was doing the interview, I was just like, I actually really like hearing about the stories
Hmm.
within the industry. I want to know how this works, because I know you get some. It says, "Oh, how do you get into voice acting?" And it's always the same
Hmm.
answers. But I love
Yeah.
hearing the sort of the stories and the nitty gritties, and oh, how is it like right now in this world? And
Yeah.
so, yes, don't get me wrong. I'd love to hear you say lines from X character and Y character. That's always funny, but this is not what I'm aiming to do with this series. I want to talk to the
Yeah.
voice actors about the work, because this is work. This is, yes,
Yeah.
it's fun, but I want to talk about the work and how, it's so far with, this is my third interview now. I've
Hmm.
heard so many different stories just from a small handful of folks, and
Hmm.
different upbringings, different places in the world. They're all over the show. So it says now what,
Hmm.
two Dallas, one Edinburgh, and one LA. That's what
Mm.
I've got so far. And so
Mm.
yes, it's like, yes, I could probably send you a whole list of things I'd love to hear you say as Steve, but it's it's like I can just ask you that later. I don't have
How
to.
many of those are from the show, darling?
Not saying a thing. Not saying a thing. But no, I do also, I do like hearing about how people have started and how just so many names are interconnected. Like, as you said, David
Hmm.
Walden, Chris Patton, and I
Hmm.
noticed on your resume you mentioned even Steve Bloom. He's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, he's great, and he has a lovely I forget the exact name of his program and his website and everything, but he runs his own website where you can go and you can get he has like a podcast slash training program, so it's very similar to like the voice acting mastery podcast.
Hmm.
um where he'll have like a podcast and he'll like invite other industry professionals on and talk about it, but he also does training courses and lessons where you can sign up and you can get some insight into the business from him and some of his colleagues, and he'll have like a little a Zoom meeting or something like that where he'll just
That's cool.
invite people on, and you kind of, it's almost like taking a college seminar, and it's great. Honestly, it's super insightful.
Because to me, if I ever got to meet Steve Bloom, I'm a big fan of Guilmon. I'm a huge fan of Guilmon. That, and of course,
Yeah,
like
I would just
Spike
look at
and
him. I'm sure he probably gets this a lot, but I would just look at him and be like,
bang.
bang.
Isn't that tattooed on his arm? I'm pretty sure. I think he had that waveform tattooed on his arm, which I thought was pretty cool. Of bang.
Mm.
Cowboy Bebop is, well, again, one of those. It's such a good series as well.
Hmm.
And is there any series at the minute you've been watching, or have you just been playing Smite?
Well, actually, lately, as for like video games and stuff like that, I've been getting back into Destiny. That's been my
Oh,
game of
okay.
choice, and of course, I get to hear Todd Habercorn a lot in that because he plays the character of the Drifter. And so that's been kind of the thing. When you're in this industry, you kind of have to have something else to do other
Yeah.
than just consuming your life with doing auditions and getting work, and though the grind is very much real, and you have to it's a 24/8 kind of situation. You kind of have to be at it all the time to really
To get anywhere.
pursue it, but you kind of have something to offload to do, to just kind of get your mind off of stuff. And so Destiny has been my MMO of choice lately, that I've been playing with a lot of my friends and stuff like that, and we've been getting in and doing like dungeons and raids and stuff. And so I've been playing that. But as for shows, of course I watched Dragon. Dragon was great. I'm not biased, I swear. But any other shows? I watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I watched some of My Hero Academia. I still haven't finished that. I got to catch up on My Hero. I
I
think
really need to
I'm
give that a second go. I think.
yeah,
I really need to give that a
yeah. I
second
think
go.
I remember watching the two heroes movie that came out like a year or so back or whatever it was. I've been rewatching some of Dragon Ball Super. Um, I'm just trying to think of any like new, like not necessarily mainstream shows that I've been watching.
You're trying to get hipster points with the I've watched shows that you haven't watched.
Yeah, I mean like anime. I've always been a fan of anime, but I'm not like I'm not gonna try to sit here and say like I'm like a huge fan of anime in the sense of like I'm watching like everything that comes out every season. It's the only
Oh,
stuff that I watch.
it's
I would say,
impossible. Yeah.
oh my god, yeah, no, and then not to mention like half of the stuff doesn't even get dubs, so you
Yeah.
have to like you go watch things in subs and things like that. But I would say it's in my pool of stuff that I watch.
Yeah.
Um, one of the one of the shows I've actually been watching a lot, and it's not anime, but it's a show called Suits. That's what I've been
Suits.
watching
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of.
Yeah, I think I've
Yeah,
heard of that one.
it's a show about it's a show about attorneys essentially. Like
Suits. I get it.
big
Yeah.
big baller attorneys, kind of like like the higher up ones that maybe aren't doing the greatest at being a good person, but they're being a great attorney and stuff like that. If you kind of catch my drift, they might be representing people that probably should receive punishment but aren't.
Yeah.
Um,
A
but
show I watched recently was Loki. I think it's the most
oh
recent
yeah,
series
I
I've
did
watched
watch
recently.
Loki. Yeah, Loki. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Yeah. Tom
Yeah,
Hiddleston's.
let me go to my Funimation account right now. Let me see what I've been watching. Let's see. Oh, I did watch some of Full Dive, which was also dubbed by Sound Cadence, as well. Prince of Tennis, also dubbed by Sound Cadence. Skate the Infinity, is
That's
a
supposed to
show
be
that I
pretty good.
watched
That I've heard good
a
things
lot
about Skate
of.
the Infinity.
Yeah, I remember. I remember I got the audition for that, which was super cool. Just the fact that I even got to audition for that show was absolutely amazing. But Skate the Infinity was great. No Guns Life, I watched a little bit of that because I wanted to check out a friend of mine in it. His name is Jacob Eisman. And so I wanted to support him. Fire Force, watched some of that. I checked out a little bit of Sleepy Princess.
J. Michael Tatum is great
Overlord.
in that.
Yeah,
Overlord's great.
he's great. Special 7. Haven't watched that in a little bit. That was a few months ago, but Special 7 is a really cool show too. I'd recommend people watch that. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been you should be watching.
They've stopped that now, haven't they?
Yeah,
like,
I think they've gone very much very much more mainstream. They just kind of have like that little jingle at the beginning, and then you drop the Funimation logo. Yeah. Dude, oh my god, I miss the old Funimation that the you should be watching thing. Like that was great.
Yeah,
I wish they would bring that back.
Also the days of the Aniplex, that one
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
I think they still do that for Aniplex shows.
I thought Aniplex got absorbed into the amorphous mass that is Funimation these days.
No, so Aniplex I think is still their own studio technically.
Is it? Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think let me see, wasn't Skate done by Aniplex? Let me see. I'll tell you right now. I will go click on the first episode here real quick and see if I see the logo.
See if you get the indent.
Yeah, I think Skate was done by Aniplex.
Okay, because I thought they just got absorbed in with everything else. Because the most recent acquisition from Funimation that I know of is Manga UK is now Funimation. Because Manga UK was a big staple in anime watching in sort of like the late 90s, early 2000s. If you wanted something on video, it was done by Manga UK, pretty much.
Yeah, I can confirm. I did skim the beginning of Skate, and they do still say Aniplex.
Oh right, because I thought that was gone. It's one of those things.
No, it's still there.
I'm just trying to think of what else I sort of seen recently. Also like Beastars. I thought Beastars season 2 was really good. Oh, what else? Because there's been so much; it all just flies at you these days. You sometimes just get bombarded with all these different shows
Yeah,
and
there's
things.
there's so much stuff going on lately for sure. I think specifically right now we're actually at a slow point. We're in between seasons. Um, all of kind of the summer stuff has kind of come out. And now we're kind of waiting for fall stuff. There's not
The
really
fall
too
season, yeah,
much. Yeah, there's not really. I mean, there's still plenty of shows that are being dubbed, but specifically, they're kind of at a lot of different studios. So there's fun. There obviously there's the whole of Funimation, right? But
yeah,
Funimation itself has plenty of studios underneath it that are all working on different projects. So for example, there's Sound Cadence, there's Okratron 5000, there's Bang Zoom, there's NYAV Post. There's plenty of different studios that are all handling stuff. And not everybody is in with everybody,
yeah,
actor wise. And so, there's a lot of different like Bang Zoom has a lot of stuff going on because they also have deals with Netflix. They get a lot of Netflix shows, and so um for the most part, it's still kind of slow everywhere, but there's still like it still looks like there's a lot going on because there's like 5, 10 different studios that are doing stuff. And man, like some of the shows that are getting put out now are crazy. There is a lot of stuff going on though for sure. Um, you know, uh Netflix has been cracking out so many shows
yes, they
lately.
have.
Like
Oh,
and then
it's
of course
insane.
I heard they just got exclusive rights to part 6 of JoJo.
Oh,
Um
wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah, so it's exclusively gonna be on Netflix. I think I'm sure on that. I'm not 100% sure if it's exclusively gonna be on Netflix, but I know they're getting it.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say it's more. It's either they've got it exclusively or they've got some
yeah,
distribution. That's
they got the not quite an anime, but they have the Witcher thing coming out too. A buddy of mine,
what, the
David
live
Rigo, is
action one
gonna
or
be
the
in that.
animated one?
The
Is it
animated,
there's an
well,
animated
both.
one? Yeah.
Yeah. So they have an animated one coming out. I think it's about young Vesemir, specifically.
Oh, oh,
Um,
okay. I
yeah, and
rewatched The Witcher recently.
yeah, a buddy of mine, David Arrigo, is going to be young Vesemir in that. So that was pretty
Oh,
cool
wow.
to hear about. Then of course they have the He-Man stuff going on.
Yeah.
Um, and then they got B-Stars. They had Kuroko. They had oh man, I know there's plenty that I'm missing, but Netflix has put a lot of eggs in the anime basket, which is super awesome to see because one of the biggest things with the anime industry has been the fact that you know anime and video game actors just don't always get the same love and TLC treatment as our film and theater counterparts when it comes to things like pay or when it comes to things like benefits and whatnot. And now to see that Netflix is kind of taking that step into um, kind of popularizing anime and stuff like that. It means a lot because now that they're kind of the first ones. Hopefully, more Hollywood, a lot more of the LA and Hollywood people will start taking anime and video games a bit more seriously, and
They're gonna sit
hopefully
up more and
that'll
pay attention. Yeah.
yeah, and hopefully that'll kind of even the playing field because though video games, specifically video games and even some anime movies will make just as much, revenue
Oh,
wise. Like,
was
you
it
know,
Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer,
yeah,
Mugen Train made like an for
best
need
selling
of better
anime
words,
movie of all
a
time.
f ton of money. Better than
Yeah, and it's
Spirited Away, I think was the
yeah,
most.
even
Yeah.
even better than the Ghibli movies. And it's crazy because even Hollywood actors recognize like if they get a chance to work on a Ghibli movie,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh my God, this is
They
amazing."
trip over themselves for that.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's cool to see that, but also, like, and though this isn't more of like a Japanese game, but uh the one of the ones that I heard about that really boggled my mind was when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. It made over $1 billion in the
Yeah.
first 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
First 3 days of it coming out. Marvel movies are lucky to make $1 billion in their
in the
entire
entire,
run,
yeah,
and they're the
it,
best-selling movies out there right now. And they may be in theaters for a month, and they'll make $1 billion. It's crazy. Video games are having, movie-like budgets. They're having $150 million attached to them and stuff like that. And so hopefully this will incentivize, with Netflix and things like that. This will incentivize, the big wigs in charge that the people, the actors for anime and video games are just as much actors as everybody else.
yeah,
Um
and that's one of the
and
things again that I'm trying to sort of get. So look, these are
yeah,
really talented, people who can do so much, and that sometimes it's just like, oh, we'll get celebrity in, and the celebrity phones it
yeah,
in, and when you could have got someone who has the chops for it.
yeah.
Because I'm not a particular fan of stunt casting when they do
Mm,
some of these animated movies, and it's oh, we have celebrity flavor of the month in, and it's just like,
yeah.
but you could have got a voice actor in who could have done it a lot better. My own
Yeah, I
opinion, I
mean,
know, but it's
well, I know there was a big Twitter debate whenever the Space Jam cast came out, and they didn't name any of the actors except for Lola Bunny, who was done by Zendaya. Um, and I know that kind of caused a lot of heat, and I'm not gonna dip my toes into that madness.
no,
I like
no,
to stay away from the drama. But yeah, I mean, stunt casting is very much a real thing, and when you're on this side of the glass, you kind of understand why it happens, but it still sucks.
yeah,
Like, because not saying that Zendaya, didn't deserve her role. She very much did. She put in the work. But whenever the executives for stuff like that kind of, when they get their marketing team together and they say, "Oh, Zendaya's in this. Yeah, she's way bigger than Bob Bergen." Like, but
yeah. I get what you're saying. But sometimes for me, it's always like, but I want to hear John Swayze and Jim Cummings and all that, because
yeah,
as a big fat geek on the internet, they're the voices I know and I recognize, and it's just, oh yeah, it's him, and that's the fun game I like playing,
yeah.
especially lately with Dragon, when it's like anyone in the episode, it's like, who's that playing him? I'm trying to figure out who's it,
Yeah.
And although I'll say this, if Sound Cadence is listening or anyone, give us a proper cast list. Give us a proper thing, because yes, all the named characters are listed, but I want to know who the supporting cast are as well. Because I
Mm.
know sometimes it's like, oh, you'll do, but I want to know, was Guard B such a body? But
Yeah, I think,
that's
well,
just me.
yeah, I think the reason why it's all about that's just kind of how it's always been in the industry. You either have a name character or you don't. And I think that I recently saw a Twitter account. I forgot. I think it was called Walla Warriors, where they specifically go out and they hunt those people that do the Walla and bits that I was talking about earlier, and they find out who those people are and they give them the recognition that they deserve, because they very much do. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
no matter how small of a part you are, you still add to the overall ambiance of the show and the vibe of the show. So I remember whenever I saw my episode of Dragon, it was episode 7. And the I even put on Twitter, like, as much as I love my character, and he was essentially the star of that episode. Um, my favorite line of that entire episode was this one little bit guy. I
Oh,
found out
I
it was done by
remember.
Caleb Yen. Yeah, he was like, "That beer was for all of us. You
Yeah,
suck."
that's it.
And I'm like, that
That's
line was
so
perfect.
funny.
It was great, and out of everything else, that was the line that made me laugh the most. And so yeah, I think I don't know if that'll ever change. If
I hope it
I
does
know sometimes
somewhat.
with shows they'll release like the additional voices actors. They won't
Yeah.
say specifically who does who, but they will do the additional voices. But I don't know if that'll ever change if um they'll give those specific credits. But I sure hope that they'll at least get more recognition, at the very least, because I know even people who do those little bit parts, when I see their announcements on Twitter, I go crazy. Like, it was fun seeing everybody's announcements for episode 7, because even though I know it was uh, at the beginning it was me, Melly, and Eli were like we were the crew for that, for I don't even know what they're called. It's the gladiators of that, like because it basically was
Uh,
like they were like gladiators of their own
so
like
yeah, you can say
fighting arena
gladiators, yeah, or
or
circus
whatever,
troupe.
like
Yeah.
they're the Motley Crew,
The Motley Crue,
you
yeah.
know, whatever you want to call them. All the little bits and stuff like that when I found out uh uh Derek Snow was in that episode, when I found out I forgot his name, Nicholas. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible with names. It was somebody else was in there, and I found out Caleb was in that episode. I'm like, this is amazing. I want to congratulate everybody. I want to retweet. I want to like everybody's posts. Because we're all making something amazing together. So, yeah.
That is absolutely. I have just noticed the time, so I'm not going to keep you terribly much longer, George. It has been an absolute pleasure,
Oh wow,
speaking to
we've been
you.
going
And
for an hour and a half.
yes, we have. I'm like,
Dude, I honestly, the time goes by so quickly. You're an amazing guy to talk to, and you know, I'm sorry that I ramble a lot too. And if you have any other questions, man, even just off, I'll say off the air, you can always send them to me. I love talking with you, as you know, and I'll be sure to try to weasel my way into recommending some more people to hang out with you and talk. I'll for sure at least try to get Melly
I would
to
really,
come on,
really
so you'll have the
appreciate
complete
that.
set.
Yeah, that would be cool. If I could get Cassandra in, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
But yes,
I will try
oh.
my best for you. No promises, but I will try my best, and I'll see who I can reach out to, because you're a lovely guy to talk to, and I appreciate that. Like I said before, I appreciate that you wanting to learn about the business and everything. So yeah,
Oh, no,
it was great talking
thank
with you,
you.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Again, if you like what I'm doing, please consider liking and subscribing so I can continue to make more in the future. This is Kraken, signing out.